Do you know what a phantom pain is? I didn't know what it was until I had a member of mine have part of his leg amputated. Long story. But when his part of his leg was gone, he would still feel pain in his foot and in the part of his leg and even in his toes, even though they weren't there. Feeling the pain from something that's no longer there is exactly how that man described the ache that he has in his heart since his wife had passed away 6 months prior to that conversation I mentioned. She's not there, but he still feels the pain as though she is there. And that sounds weird, but I'll explain. He said, I still sometimes get frustrated with her, even though she's not there. I still sometimes talk as though she's going to be right there, but she's not there. I roll over in bed as though she's going to be there and she's not there. It's like there's this phantom pain that I have following me around. As it turns out, that just so happens to be a good description of one of the many symptoms that people feel when they experience grief. It probably is worth noting that when we experience loss and when we go through grief, we are changed forever. There is no time when we all of a sudden snap out of it. It doesn't help to hear from other people that we will get over it someday. In fact, that man that I mentioned earlier, he actually said, you never get over it. You just learn to better live through it. And that's some wonderful advice. So this phantom pain that he experiences, as he called it, it's one of many symptoms that people can experience. I recently looked at a resource on how to help those that are grieving, and there was a whole page, 3 columns. It filled the whole page of all of the symptoms that people feel: anger and frustration, guilt, fear, self-loathing, bitterness and anger, even resentment towards family and friends. All of these things happen, and there's many more. Some of them are even confusing. People don't even know why. Somebody might act resentful towards another person in their family all of a sudden. And yet of all of the things that go on, one of the struggles that everyone faces is, where do I take my first steps? How do I find any goodness in grief when I can't even get going? Do you know what that man said? He said, I had to take my first steps. Had to find purpose in small tasks, one at a time, one day at a time, one step at a time. If I'm going to go brush my teeth, I'm going to go brush my teeth. It sounds like it's minor and you could just pass it off, but that's pretty important. Taking your first steps can be a challenge when you still feel the pain from that person who's no longer there. And that's why it's also important to know that when you take those first steps, and every single step, you're not alone. Not only are there tons of people around who seek to encourage you, but you also have a God who is with you. There was a man in the Old Testament, the first half of the Bible, who experienced incredible loss throughout his life. So many times when his own life was threatened too. As he's grieving the loss of others and even filled with fear of his own death, he writes that most famous psalm, Psalm 23. The Lord is my shepherd, I lack nothing. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside quiet waters. He refreshes my soul. He guides me along the right paths for his name's sake. Even though I walk through the darkest valley, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. Even though I walk through the darkest valley, or the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. Did you see what he did there? He's talking about the shepherd. He guides me. He leads me. He restores my soul. As though the Lord is our shepherd, but he's over there. But then when it comes to the time when we are in the darkest valley, when we are filled, especially in this case, with grief, you can't move, you can't function, you don't even know what to do next. You are with me. He changes the person. No longer is he talking in third person about the Lord who's over there. He is talking in second person as if the Lord is right here. He's always near. And that's not just David speaking for himself. He's speaking for us too. When you're not sure how to get going, you don't even know what to do tomorrow, you don't have to make all of these big decisions, but what you can do, even in those darkest moments of grief, the darkest valleys, you don't have to talk to God as though he's far away. You could turn right to him and say, You are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. Like a shepherd, he's going to protect us and encourage us. He's going to comfort us along the way, and he will never leave us. After all, if he's the God who loves us not just for time, but has given us eternal life through his Son, Jesus Christ, then will he not walk with us now? Even if we're just going to take that very first and next step.
Did you enjoy this video? Make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube so you don't miss a single message. Click right here.